Hey everybody, I've got such a cool video for you today because this is the Toyota RAV4 TRD Off-Road. And those letters TRD next to the word off-road usually signify in the Toyota lineup that we're dealing with something really special. A TRD Off-Road Tacoma is one of the best off-road vehicles you can buy, period. A TRD Off-Road 4Runner, same thing. There's a TRD Off-Road Tundra, and all of these are hardcore four-wheel drives. Now the RAV4, of course, is not, but it still has those three little magic letters next to the name, so we're gonna find out, is it any good off-road?
Come on, baby, figure it out. Oh. It's gotta be really hot. Fans are working hard. It's like 95, 100 degrees out here. This is a lot of full throttle from a dead stop.
Toyota's done a great job outfitting this RAV4 with a pretty aggressive wheel and tire design. So this is a Falcon Wild Peak tire. It's not what I would call a true like old school all-terrain or mud terrain. It's more of like a rugged terrain, but we do have some sidewall protection here. And then the wheels, these are 18-inch wheels with the TRD branding in the middle. They look fantastic. I would like a little bit more sidewall maybe for what we're gonna do today, but overall a pretty decent tire and wheel setup for a crossover SUV. And then underneath you'll see these are a specific set of TRD Off-Road shock absorbers. Now the ground clearance is only 8.6 inches, so not a whole lot of ground clearance, but you can see underneath there, we've got these red coils and rally-inspired shocks, whatever that means. The RAV4 TRD Off-Road has a number of different buttons as part of the multi-terrain select system. So on-road, we've got Eco, Normal, and Sport, and then of course your standard setting. But off-road, check this out, we have a mud and sands mode, and then a rock and dirt mode, which is what we're gonna be using today. There's also a snow setting and even a hill descent control, which we'll be sure to test out as well.
All right, I'm excited to put this RAV4 through its paces off-road, and we're definitely gonna hit the limit of what this thing can do, I think, today. Now, we really have two courses over here at Tumbleweed Ranch. So to my left, we have the pond course, which is really gnarly. You really need 10 inches of ground clearance. You need a low range for sure. A couple lockers doesn't hurt. You got deep mud, you got super steep hills, you got big rocks. It would just destroy the RAV4 off-road. It's not intended for that kind of terrain. Now behind me, we also have Andre's pit, which is our crossover test pit, and that's a great test of traction control and ground clearance, and we'll be sure to run this through that pit next, but I wanna do like a little bit of a special challenge for this RAV4, because at the end of the pond course, we have this mini mountain which goes straight up into the sky and then plateaus, but it's super loose. It's got lots of sand on it, it's got rocks on it, it's got holes in it, and I think that's going to be a perfect test for this RAV4 to see how the traction control works, the ground clearance, the tires, how they grip into the earth. It's harder than our typical Andre's pit, not quite as hard as the pond situation, but it's going to really push the max on this Toyota. So gonna be a little tricky to get into because it's like I said, 30-35 degrees vertical, and we're coming at it from the side. So I'm gonna have to be really smart about how I do this. You wouldn't want to destroy your RAV4. All right, I'm gonna have to mute that because that's gonna be going crazy if we don't. And I may do this in a couple pointed turn, just so I'm pointed as uphill as possible, so we don't roll over. That'd be pretty bad. Come on, Toyota. There we go. All right, so pointed up the hill, but this is not, please be quiet. This is not where I'm actually gonna start the test. I'm gonna back it up to the steepest part of this hill, because I really want this to be the ultimate test of how this vehicle performs in a really difficult situation. Ooh, we're sliding. So I'm gonna go back just a few more feet. So, pointed up about a 30-35 degree angle, we're gonna go into the rock and dirt setting, and we're gonna see, can the RAV4 climb this 30-35 degree incline? This is a serious test. Okay, it's got parking hold. All right, pretty heavy in the throttle now. The traction control is thinking about it. Ooh, let off at the wrong time there. Now I don't want to maintain too much momentum because we got some pretty serious rocks out here. And if I can press the suspension too much, I know we're going to bottom this out, and I don't want to take out a fuel tank or something like that. Actually though, other than that little hiccup right at the start, that was pretty impressive. Running out of visibility here, it's just that steep where it's a little tricky to see what's going on. Torque converter is really working hard. All right, now I'm full throttle. It's flashing the right front lights, right front wheel. Let's see if we can figure it out. Come on, RAV4. Let's figure it out. Full throttle. That's in rock and dirt mode. It's spinning up that right front wheel. All right, we're not going anywhere. So let me go into mud and sand mode. That's gonna let me have a little bit more slippage from the traction control. And let's see if that helps. So full throttle still. It's not letting a whole lot happen. Come on, baby, figure it out. This is where I want a little bit of additional low-end torque, or at least a low range. It would really help me a lot. I can try also turning off traction control manually by pushing this button. So rock and dirt, traction control turned off. Oh, we're just tapped out here. All right, so we're gonna have to use a little bit of momentum. I'm gonna turn traction control back on. I actually think that was helping us quite a bit.
So this RAV4 is powered by a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, 203 horsepower and 184 foot-pounds of torque, made into an 8-speed automatic transmission. And this has a power takeoff, which can send up to about 50% of available torque to the rear axle, but it still is primarily a front-wheel drive based all-wheel drive system. The good news is, though, that in the RAV4 lineup, you've got a whole bunch of different all-wheel drive systems, ranging from a standard one to the hybrid, which is totally different from this. The TRD Off-Road actually has a torque vectoring setup, so it can kind of send torque where it needs to go, which is pretty cool. So we'll see how that works here shortly.
Try to power our way up this. Use a little bit of the Nathan technique, so we're on slightly more even ground. Full throttle. There we go, come on, figure it out. Go, Toyota, go! Still all the way to the ground. Not letting up, there we go. All right, so we did get a little bit caught up there, but I think we're gonna tackle this mini mountain. Now, right at the top, we've got a good test of kind of breakover angle. So I'm gonna take it really easy. I'm not confident we're gonna have what it takes to clear this. Ooh, we got 2 wheels off the ground there, but I think just about we're gonna clear it. Visibility is not great actually out the front of this vehicle. I know there's an optional 360-degree camera. I'm gonna get out here and kind of inspect what the route down is, because we got more super steep rocks on the way down. So let's go see what that looks like. So on the way down here, we got a lot of these puppies. Make sure there's no snakes. A lot of these like big 10-inch rocks, which is great for just catching the underside of your vehicle, snagging up on control arm. So we're going to be a little bit dainty on it. 8.6 inches, I'd love a little bit more, closer to 9 or 9.5 on a TRD Off-Road, but we'll see how it does. Fans are working hard out there. Now on the descent, we're looking at probably 20-25 degrees. Can't see anything as to where I'm going. I'm gonna have to take this really gingerly. I'm glad at least that I don't have to stress too much about puncturing a sidewall. If this thing was on 19 or 20-inch wheels, it would just be too much wheel and not enough tire. Being really careful here. We gotta be within an inch of the underbelly at this point. Kind of a long wheelbase. Come on. Oh. Come on, Toyota, you got this, buddy. You got this. Definitely scraping something there a little bit. All right, let's try the downhill assist. Oh, the whole car just slid to the right, like 10 degrees. That's an alarming feeling. All right, I'm not using the downhill assist, I'm using my brake. It's trying to make me go a little bit too quick, not quite the control I need for this section. Okay, there's the downhill assist. So it's holding me at about 2-3 miles an hour, which is pretty good for a crossover. But even that's a little bit too quick for the technicality of that course. And that's one of those things that doesn't look like much on camera, but that is basically all the RAV4 had to give. I was maxed out on ground clearance, certainly maxed out on acceleration up the hill with the gearing. Luckily, we do have an 8-speed automatic, no CVT, nothing weird like that. It's got a torque converter all automatic, no dual clutch, but still, we did run out of acceleration going up the hill. Ran out of traction, I should say, too. So we completed it, I don't think anything's hanging. I don't think anything's dripping. So let's go really push the all-wheel drive system to its limits now on the trenches course in Andre's pit.
One of the big drawbacks of the RAV4 TRD Off-Road is that it has a really long nose. It's got a pretty big overhang in front of the front wheels. Now we're looking at a 19-degree approach angle. Some good news, a little bit of a silver lining, is if you actually listen underneath here, like there is a little bit of shielding. I wouldn't call it a full-on skid plate. It feels a little too flimsy for that name, but it is a proper metal shield and not just some plastic under tray, which I definitely appreciate. Now, in this class, right, it used to be that nobody would consider taking a small crossover off-road, but recently we've had vehicles like the Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk and even the Bronco Sport Badlands, which have raised the off-road bar on what you can do with your compact crossover. And Toyota's falling a little bit behind in terms of numbers on the TRD Off-Road RAV4. So for example, a Cherokee Trailhawk would have like a 29-degree approach angle versus 19 in this, and then Toyota only has like a 21-degree departure angle thanks to those really big and beautiful exhaust tips.
This is trenches. This is a really cool test. So we've got these big trenches, these divots dug into the ground at oscillating intervals, and this is going to get the vehicle onto two wheels. And of course we've got open disc, but we've got that torque vectoring all-wheel drive, so it should break spinning wheels, send power to the wheel of traction, and we'll see what happens. So we're going to take it head on. No easy route for the RAV4 today. Still in rock and dirt mode. That's going to be our most aggressive traction control setting, and actually in a system like this you really do want traction control. You want as much intervention as possible so that the computers can kind of figure out a solution. I'm going to take it purposely very, very slow to make it even harder for the vehicle. And there we go. So right front wheel, left rear wheel, those are in the air. Very impressive. So that right there is where we see some of that built-in Toyota multi-terrain select DNA. It was able to really distribute wheel speed where it needed to go to get us up this hill. We're going to do it again, once again taking it very slow on purpose. We're going to get it completely off kilter. Man, that was like nothing. That is an impressive result. So I'm going to stop at the hardest point here, apply a little bit of accelerator, a little bit more, and it pulled us through. Did you see that? You see that? That was really good. So, impressive torque vectoring system. I wish there was a little bit more low-end torque. You see, now that we're starting to really get some steepness on this hill, come on Toyota, things start getting bound up a little bit. So that's now full throttle, holding right around 1700 RPM. The traction control is trying to work its magic. You can see it notices the right front wheel is spinning, but it just, come on, I need a little bit more low-end torque. That's kind of my biggest disappointment with this vehicle. If this had a little turbo engine in it, it would be pretty special, or slightly shorter first gearing. So the traction control programming is very good. The torque distribution at low speeds, it's struggling a little bit, so we're gonna have to kind of bump it. Oh man, it's not happy. I wonder what's going on. So you pointed up even a slight grade, and it really seems to limit how much mechanical torque is going to the wheels. And the system is good. It just needs more. Like, it needs more freedom. Maybe it needs a little bit more wheel spin and then clamp down hard. Let me try mud and sand through here. Let's see if that helps us a little bit. Purposely making it hard on the car, so that gives us more wheel spin. Just does not feel what it needs to do. Go back into rock crawl, rock and dirt. It's better. It's better. Not quite what we needed though. Come on, go! Let's just try normal, just for giggles. Normal's the worst of them. Alright, so we're just gonna have to momentum it up here. So back it up. We'll power through it, it's fine. You know, it's still a RAV4, doesn't have a low range. This is where even like a Bronco Sport would excel through that section. Yeah, and that still was almost foot to the floor just to get up that bit. So a little bit more low-end torque, maybe a higher torque number or a lower first gear would help this thing immensely, because the traction control team, the torque vectoring team, did their job. We proved that on the flatter part of the course. It's just when it gets steep where things really start to fall apart.
If there's any question that Toyota is trying to draw on its off-road four-wheel drive heritage, just look at the color scheme on this RAV4. We're looking at a white on top of cavalry blue, and this is basically a 1960s FJ40 color. In fact, just over there, we have a Toyota FJ40 in basically this color. They painted the roofs white on those old school four-wheel drives to deflect some heat if you're cruising through like the African or Australian continent, which is pretty cool.
So next up we got Lava Lane, and this is our test of approach angle and departure angle. And we're gonna see, can we clear this big pit basically. So we're gonna take it nice and slow. Let's go check it out. I think the answer to that might be a big hard no. Yep. Unfortunately, look, we are not even through the base of this pit and we're about to scrape the front end, and this is just plastic. So underneath there, we do have a little bit of protection, but this nice painted front end is gonna definitely get damaged if I were to keep going. So we're gonna have to back it up and try something else. Now, holes is gonna be the ultimate test of ground clearance, and I recently, as in last week, ripped the whole side off of a Subaru Forester. We'll play that clip now. The first test is called holes, and this is a good test of kind of ground clearance and maybe articulation. So we're gonna dip into the first hole. Oh,
bottomed out there.
Harder than I intended there. Let me make sure we're not dragging anything. All right, so not that much ground clearance.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Assess the damage.
Oh, we lost the side skirt.
Did we leave it on the trail, or?
No, it just popped out here. I think we can get that back on though.
Oh yeah, we can get that back on.
Get some new clips on there. All right, if you're gonna buy a Forester, take off the side skirt. Yeah, not good. I did fix it, but it was not a good situation. So we're gonna see, does the new RAV4 TRD Off-Road have more clearance than an old Forester? Not convinced. Those things are pretty good. All right, so got a little bit of slippage there through the first hole. Second hole, feeling good. Now this third hole is where things are really gonna start to get tricky. This is gonna be where I really wanna be careful at modulating the brake pedal and the gas. Ooh, we're gonna clear it? That was pretty good actually. So right on the side sill, which is really where we tend to hit in these vehicles. Got good clearance, and actually it's letting me 2-foot. If there's not a big concern for traction, the powertrain does pretty good at getting you up steep grades. It's just when things start spinning and you need a little bit of extra oomph when things start to fall apart. Like there. Alright, let's see what's going on. What mode are we in? I think we're in normal. Let's go into rock and dirt.
So this interior is pretty darn nice in this RAV4. This model's been out for a couple of years now, so it's nothing too crazy, but pretty good materials across the dash. I like the red stitching. And then this one has all sorts of orange accents, like over here by the Qi wireless charger. And then down here, I guess they're more red. They kind of look orange in some lights, but down here by the cup holders. Now this 9-inch touchscreen is easy to use. It isn't running the latest and greatest of Toyota system, but it still is fairly simple and straightforward. We have a pretty large digital instrument cluster with analog tach, fuel gauge, and engine temperature, and then steering wheel controls throughout, because this vehicle does have a standard Toyota Safety Sense 2.0 system with adaptive cruise, lane centering assist, all that kind of great stuff. Now, what about the sticker? Well, as equipped, 40,460, and that does include the TRD Off-Road weather package, which gives you the heated leather front steering wheel. It gives you the heated and ventilated front seats, some windshield wiper stuff, and this also has a TRD Off-Road technology package, which gives you front and rear parking assist with automated braking, and some other little goodies, including, check this out, the digital rearview mirror. So the back seat in the Toyota TRD Off-Road. Well, I do love these TRD mats with the mountains built in. Those are pretty cool. Soft text material back here as well. Feels quite nice. We have rear AC vents, and then a couple little ports down here for USB-C charging. It's a 5-seater. Pull this down, got good cup holders. This is my driving position at 6 feet tall. Really good legroom and really good headroom as well. So popping the trunk of the RAV4, we're gonna be greeted with nearly 70 cubic feet worth of space with the seats folded down, 69.8, which is pretty awesome. It's a lot of space back here. Of course, we can see more of that TRD mats, which is great for dogs and for outdoor stuff. Over here, we've got this little 1000 watt USB, oh sorry, standard power outlet, which is nice actually. That's a pretty juicy power outlet. Oh no, it's 100 watts. That's practically useless. I had it at 0, I was being a little optimistic. All right, pretty much useless there. But beyond that, if we lift up the floor, we're gonna find a space saver spare tire, which is not ideal, but it's better than not having a spare at all.
So once again, this is a situation where we got really 2 wheels in the air. There we go. So rock and dirt did make a difference in that situation. I reset it normal at the base of holes, and then I went into rock and dirt just at the top there. And you could see that the torque vectoring and the traction control intervention was much stronger in rock and dirt, and that was what allowed us to kind of make our way up through that obstacle. So next up we got logs. This is going to be a suspension test, and so yeah, these rally inspired suspensions work over this torturous log crawl. Log sticking up pretty high. This is one you definitely want to take it slow because you can do a lot of damage if you're not careful. Okay. Trying to 2-foot it here. Again, that's basically full throttle to get through this section. Imagine this car with that new engine out of that GR Corolla. You know how cool that would be? So cool. We gotta be building a lot of heat in the torque converter. Just trying to be gentle with it though. It's gotta be really hot. The fans are working hard. It's like 95, 100 degrees out here. This is a lot of full throttle from a dead stop. Come on, go, 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 full throttle, go! I've never had this happen. I'm stuck really here? I always take this test at this speed. Camera shut off. So my 2 options are to take this with some speed, compress the suspension and bottom it out, or just keep roasting this torque converter, or back up. I'm thinking that backup sounding pretty tasty right now. Got a camera overheat. That's no good. It's very, very hot out here today. Although if I back up, things are going to get worse, so I guess maybe I should power through it. There we go, there we go. Alright, just maintain that speed. Oh, Micah! I have this level of less mechanical sympathy through here. That's for sure. There we go. There we go. All right. Well, we made it through logs, but that was a push, and if we had that much struggle through logs, we can try rocks, but I'm not sure it's gonna go very well. We'll take a look. Alright, I think we're going to run into an issue here. Remember I was talking about this low front chin? We're not going to clear the gatekeeper here on rocks, so once again, I'm not going to be responsible for tearing off this big plastic front end, so I think we're going to have to call it here.
The RAV4 TRD Off-Road is a great crossover on-road. It's got a good ride, it's got lots of interior space, pretty decent technology, and of course standard Toyota Safety Sense 2.0. Now off-road, the tires are good, and some of the torque vectoring functionality is really good, but it doesn't quite have the low end torque you need for crawling big hills, and it doesn't have enough clearance. It doesn't have the approach angle or really the underbody clearance for some of those cooler campsites that you might want to visit to. So if you really actually want to go off-road on a regular basis, definitely check out the Bronco Sport in the Badlands trim. Definitely check out the Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. This is great for dirt roads. This will get you to your winter cabin. This is going to be great in the snow, but it is pretty compromised, and it's nowhere near the capability of like a 4Runner TRD Off-Road or a Tacoma TRD Off-Road. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, it's been Tommy. We'll see you in the next video.